Africa's youth currently represents 60% of its population, and only 1 in 10 people are over 50. So we have a huge upcoming youth in Africa. So much so that by 2030, in 7 years' time, 1 in 3 of our youth globally will come from Africa. So to your point about where's the talent and the need, this is an imperative for our societies globally as to how are we nurturing, how are we developing our next generation. I do not subscribe to the rhetoric on how we need to get more school children into the mining industry. I think we need to take a global look at this, not a national look. We have to take a broad industry-wide look. And Australia is perfectly placed as a community and as a society that is welcoming and encompassing to different cultures. The other thing is, what is the talent that's already in Africa? Do we fully understand? Do we fully recognize the skill level, the competency, the creativity, the solutions that are already emerging in Africa? I'd like to share with you some of the projects that AMPAA has been working on. 4 of them in particular. There are many projects, but these are 4. The first is the Jacqui project. Jacqui is the West African Exploration Initiative. It has been running for about 15, 20 years and has produced 100 PhDs, masters, research, and postgrads, 60% of whom are in the region of West Africa. Not only that, it's built a network of collaboration between the geoscience agencies across those countries. And there's a regional database that traverses boundaries or borders in both English and French. And I was going to say it's got lithology and structural data, etc. I'm not a geologist, but I understand that it's quite comprehensive. AMPAA has begun a second project allied to this called the East African Exploration Initiative, again building collaboration between the researchers of the region, the government agencies, and the industries, the mining industries of the region. Similar model and similar purpose to build capability. I must share with you that one of my favorite people to come out of the Jacqui project is someone who has done his PhD through the Jacqui program. He's done his master's, his PhD. He's now a module leader for that particular program. Another example is the P9 project, which was started out of Mount Isa in 1959, 1960, to look at automation in minerals processing. That project, originally run out of the University of Queensland, has been running for over 60 years. This iteration will be led by UCT, or University of Cape Town. So you see this migration to the capability and the talent that exists there. And then, of course, there's the refractory ore processing. I don't understand refractory ore. I gather it's really hard to get the stuff out. So they're researching a space there, and using researchers not only from South Africa, from Ghana, Morocco, and then across to collaborate with the University of Adelaide and the USA Penn State University. So you see these programs and these projects that are world-leading, world-class programs, and I'd love to have a conversation with you sometimes how that could link in and assist with what you're attempting to do there. Now, what's AMPAA's role in this? Well, AMPAA has been around since P9 first started in 1959. It's a not-for-profit, member-based industry organization, and what AMPAA does is provide the governance to ensure that industry's investment into research and development is targeted, it's managed, that the legal frameworks are in place, that the delivery of the work is done. Coupled with that, we've established over the last 3 years 4 additional elements. One of these is Global Alliances Program, which brings together the different associations across the globe, the GMG, for example, various innovation hubs and so forth. The second is a knowledge platform where we are basing our work on the Cochrane Institute. For those of you on the medical industry would be aware, the Cochrane Institute is a library of knowledge and data that has passed governance, it's gone through reviews, it's trusted, it's verified, and therefore a doctor who's sitting in his or her rooms can look up some strange ailment and get the latest research without having to rely on Google or ChatGPT. It's verified and it's certified. So AMPAA has a program in collaboration with the International Copper Association to develop a knowledge platform. We're also looking at defragmenting the research, development, innovation, implementation. So it's a little bit encouraging to see that Rio Tinto put out an announcement this week of investing 150 million into Imperial College. My question is that another new sprout that we have to try and pull together? Again, how do you get these pieces together so we're not reinventing, reinvesting in information that already exists or in capability that can be driven? And the other point there is, how do we get the best return on investment on our research? AMPAA is located in Australia, Latin America, US, South Africa, and over the last month in Ghana as well, as we set up a team there. I'd like to acknowledge, in particular, the AMPAA Africa Board, led by Vaughan Chamberlain, former VP of strategy for AngloGold Ashanti. Another director is Yves Ilunga, who was Chief Executive Officer. He's just become VP for business development for Glencore. Dr. Kwesi Mpofu, whom many of you may recognize, he's the head of metals and mining in Bloomberg. And then former director Anthony Mukuchuma, who you might recall, he was the mine manager at Ravensthorpe. So a wonderful leader who's inspired our program. So what I'm going to share with you now in terms of the AMPAA Africa program has really been driven by this board's aspiration for Africa, which was, how do we build the capability? How do we raise the profile of the researchers who already exist in Africa? And how do we ensure that can become of benefit to the globe more generally? I'd also like to acknowledge the team led by Anthony Anamiyadu, our VP Mineral Processing, formerly of AngloGold Ashanti, and also he holds 2 roles. He's also the GM for Africa. We have Bright Foley and Redeemer in Ghana have recently joined us, and Anne Woolley, who's been with us in South Africa for I think it's 15 years. And of course, we've got our very own Claude, who's been remarkable in his initiative that he's shown, and he's been a strong advocate to get the material about our program out into the world. All of these people have contributed to where we are now. So what are we trying to do? Well, we're trying to take that framework and start to connect these centers of excellence so that there is a spirit of achievement, it's recognized, and it's used globally. One of the pieces of work that's come out is the AMPAA Center of Excellence. And this is a physical center of excellence being established in Ghana in collaboration with the University of Kunust, the Copperbelt University, the Tarkwa University, Cape Town, and UMAT. So you've got this collaboration happening where we're building a physical center that will allow full value chain processing, testing. It's got a tailings facility. It's got infrastructure. It's supported by MIF. And the idea here is to bring the best quality of technology to the researchers and not just invest money and walk away, but actually invest infrastructure, physical this time, to support the development. So we've got the Jacqui project, for example, but there's no testing, there's no strong testing facility to enable and support the research that's been done in the area. The other piece that's quite interesting with the center is the opportunity, the space that's been made to help support artisanal miners and allow them to improve their systems and processes. So that's been built into it. And a third aspect is the community engagement. So part of this design is to have glass on the outside, but the idea here is to raise the profile of technology, and secondly, to build a collaboration across Africa physically. Just a note and highlighting that this has been driven by an advisory board, and all of those highly credentialed individuals participating in driving the strategy there. The next piece is a passion project for me, and this is the Pan-African Decarbonisation Institute. I'm currently the acting chair of ICRA, which is the International Centre for Radio Astronomy, a collaboration between UWA and Curtin. And I'm absolutely blown away at what can happen when collaboration works. It is phenomenal to see that this institute was set up in 2009. There were only 6 radio astronomers in Perth. There are now over 1,000. That's been driven by the square kilometre array, but importantly, the collaboration between Curtin and UWA is one that I've never seen anywhere else before. So I asked the founder, Peter Quinn, how did he do it? Like, what's the secret sauce here? And he reiterated that there were key underlying principles. And the 2 principles are complementarity and supplementarity. So when you bring groups together, how do those groups complement each other and how do they supplement each other? And I think that's a wonderful definition for collaboration as to when you bring people together, how are they going to make each other better than if they weren't together? And how do they each get what they want for themselves? So that we've taken that and we've used that as the core founding principles for this institute. So why now? I think you're pretty all well aware. We had our opening presentation where Ben highlighted how important it is to address this challenge around decarbonisation. And I believe Africa is extremely well placed in both its mineral resources and its intellectual resources. So much so that I believe it's in a position to command a leadership role in the globe's conversation. And what we're trying to do here is establish a pipeline that will enable Africa to lead in this conversation for itself. So Africa has a number of competitive advantages. It's extremely rich with resources, around 30% of the globe's resources. And if Africa is not careful, we'll be entering into the second colonization. So another impetus here is to ensure that we strengthen the backbone so that is not an outcome. Africa has a long history in mining, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to introduce step change methods, equipment, and improved co-creation. I'm sure you're well aware of Ubuntu, and the ability of African nations to work together is exceptionally strong, I think, as a principle and as a philosophy, which you won't get in many other societies. So what is the vision? The vision here is a self-sustaining pipeline of Pan-African research led by Africans in Africa, for Africa, collaborating with the rest of the world. So we've had approaches from Curtin, from Colorado School of Mines, from UBC, who all want to participate in this. And we look forward to their participation. But we're not bringing them in just yet. We want their leadership to come from the group that we're pulling together. The program itself spans the mine value chain, and importantly addresses skills. It addresses skills at the vet level, the vocational education level, all the way through to research. And it will connect world-class research capabilities with the needs of African industry to build knowledge, develop processes and innovation, and deploy that innovation. Here's an example of the leadership, or this is the leadership group, the research leaders who are involved in the Pan-African curriculum that has been pulled together. Though anybody worked with Jennifer Broadhurst at the University of Cape Town will be familiar with her incredible leadership. I met one of her students who was looking at minerals processing optimization of a manganese mine. And in that PhD, not only was she looking at the sciences, but she was also looking at the economics. And in the economics into the supply chain and the economics of the community. So post-mining economics, all built into that holistic approach into research. Anybody met Glenn Mwala would recognize the data science capability that he's leading into Wits University. He's incredibly engaged with the mining industry, having come from mining industry. Dr. Insis Benzaku from Reminex. Reminex is a spin-off and in innovation technology research spin-off from Managem. Managem is the same size as BHP, but operates in Africa, has done so for 60 years, but we don't hear about it. They've got a phenomenal program where they are supplying battery materials through into Renault. So there's a fantastic link and fantastic work that's been done. And so on it goes. So this includes the universities of across Ghana, universities in the DRC, universities in Zambia, universities in South Africa, and of course the African Union. African Union is involved in this project to help align the various groups and importantly work with us on a qualifications framework into alignment more globally. And I acknowledge Tony or Anthony Anmeado here as an important player in this. So I hope I've given you something of the incredible capability that already exists. And I hope that each of you could equally be advocates for driving funding and driving investment into what I believe is an absolutely essential piece to the decarbonisation story. Africa holds our future, and I look forward to playing a little part in making sure that continues. Thank you.